You know that feeling, right? We've all heard of it, that sixth sense, a gut feeling, or just, common sense. It's like this inner compass that's supposed to guide us, warn us, and help us make sense of everything. But what is it really? Well, let's dive in and try to figure it out.
So is it some kind of psychic power, or is the answer, well, something much closer to home? Maybe buried in ancient philosophy and modern biology. In this explainer, we're going to peel back the layers of this whole mystery. And believe me, the story we're about to uncover is way more fascinating than you might think.
Okay, so to get to the truth here, our first stop is going to be ancient Greece. And it turns out, this idea of a sixth sense, it's not new at all. I mean, the philosopher Aristotle was talking about this way back in the 4th century BCE. But his version was totally different from how we think about it today, with seeing the future and all that. He called it sensus communis, which, literally translates to the common sense. But for Aristotle, this was not some extra sense for like seeing ghosts or anything. Nope. For him, it was this absolutely crucial mental power that takes all the information from our other 5 senses and brings it all together into one single unified experience of the world.
Okay, let's make this super practical. So imagine a car drives past you, right? Your eyes see the color, the shape. Your ears hear the engine roaring. You might even feel the vibration through your feet. Now, according to Aristotle, it's this common sense that instantly smashes all those separate pieces of data together into one single thought. Hey, that's a car. It's not magic. It's just your brain acting like a super efficient data integrator.
Okay, so that's Aristotle's take. But the story doesn't stop there. Let's fast forward, about 2,000 years to the 18th century. We're landing right in the middle of this super intense intellectual period called the Scottish Enlightenment. And this is where the term common sense gets a complete and total makeover.
And you can really see the shift here. You see, Aristotle's idea was all internal. It was a process happening inside your own head. But for these Enlightenment thinkers, common sense became something external. It was this shared collection of beliefs that pretty much everyone agrees on without needing a bunch of proof. Stuff like, an object can't be in 2 places at once. They basically argue that these are the truths we have to take for granted just so we can get on with our lives and, think logically about things.
A philosopher named Thomas Reid was a huge champion of this new idea. He argued that these principles of common sense are literally baked into our very nature. I mean, he saw them as the absolute bedrock that all of our other knowledge is built on. Without them, we couldn't even start a conversation, let alone build a whole society.
All right, so we've journeyed from this idea of a mental integrator to a shared set of beliefs. But what about that other thing we call a sixth sense, that gut feeling? Where does that come from? Well, for that answer, we've got to leave philosophy behind for a bit and turn to modern science, because scientists have discovered something absolutely incredible right inside our own bodies. Get ready to meet your second brain. It's called the enteric nervous system, or ENS, and this thing is a massive network of neurons. I'm talking hundreds of millions of them, all lining your gut. It is so complex, so powerful, that it can actually manage your entire digestion all by itself, without needing direct orders from the brain up in your head. Kind of wild, right?
But here's the kicker. The ENS isn't working in isolation down there, not at all. It is constantly talking to your main brain through what you could call a superhighway of nerves and hormones. And this constant, two-way communication, this channel is called the gut-brain axis. And this is the real biological source of what we call our gut feeling.
So how does this actually work? Let's say you eat something a little off. Maybe it has a mild toxin in it. Your gut's second brain detects it immediately and sends this urgent message upstairs to your main brain. You experience that message as feeling sick, right? Nausea. Your brain then locks in this really powerful memory. That food equals feeling terrible. So the next time you even see or smell that food, your brain instantly pulls up that memory, and boom, you get that gut feeling of disgust. It's a warning signal based on a very real past experience. And this powerful gut-brain connection, it's exactly why being nervous about public speaking can give you butterflies in your stomach, or why just thinking about something totally disgusting can literally make you feel sick to your stomach. Your emotions are directly, physically tied to what's happening in your gut.
Okay, so let's pull back for a second. On one hand, we've got the practical, shared beliefs we call common sense, and on the other, we have this deep, sometimes really counterintuitive knowledge that we get from science. So, how are we supposed to balance these two powerful and sometimes conflicting ways of understanding the world?
Well, the philosopher Gilbert Ryle had this really brilliant analogy. He said, think about a library. An accountant could describe that library by counting every single book and tracking the inventory. That's kind of like science, right? It's focused on objective, measurable data. But a reader describes that same library by the stories, the ideas, the knowledge inside the books. That's more like common sense, focused on meaning and how you actually use it. And here's the thing, both descriptions are totally true and valid. They're just describing different parts of the very same reality.
Let's break that down even more. Science, it's all about using a systematic, critical method. It's looking for these big, universal explanations for how the world works. Common sense, it's a whole different game. It's practical, it's based on your own experience, and it's all about helping you make decisions in your specific day-to-day situations. So you see, one isn't better than the other. They're just different tools for completely different jobs.
So maybe the best way to think about it is like this. Science gives us this incredibly detailed, super accurate map of reality. It shows us everything, even the stuff we can't see, like quantum physics or that gut-brain axis we were talking about. But common sense? That's the practical wisdom you and I use every single day to actually read the map and figure out which way to go. So, wow. After this whole journey through history, philosophy, and biology, where does that leave us? We started out looking for the sixth sense, and it turns out there isn't just one. There are at least 3 really different ideas all hiding under that same name.
First, we uncovered Aristotle's original sixth sense, that amazing mental tool that builds our perception of the world. Then we found the Enlightenment's version of common sense, that shared wisdom that basically holds society together. And finally, we explored the modern gut feeling, a very real biological signal from our second brain. What's wild is that none of them are supernatural, but every single one of them is absolutely essential to how we function.
And all of this leads us to one last really fascinating question. Because there are going to be times when your deep biological intuition, that gut feeling, is screaming at you to go one way, while your practical, rational common sense is telling you to do the complete opposite. So, in that moment, which inner compass do you trust? Your gut or your head? Your biological intuition or your rational mind? Maybe figuring that out is the truest sense of all.